Welcome to Epic Groupcast, the video game night or game night podcast. I'm Jordan, your host for the evening, and I've got with me to my left,
I'm Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence. How are you?
I'm great.
You're fantastic.
Absolutely, sir.
Good. You have lots of video games to talk about.
I have about a dozen here.
Awesome. Okay. And as well here we have Mr. Steven.
What's up?
How are things with you?
They're good. I've got a
They're
short
good.
list, but
Short
I've
list.
got plenty in my head.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's what I have to do.
Organic.
Yeah. It's just fun to talk about things as they come up. And Alan?
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing well.
Very good.
See, I blame it on my bad memory. If I don't write them down, I will literally forget games whenever I'm talking
Well,
about
I
them.
have to wait for
And
you
then
guys to
later
say it,
on,
too,
I'll be
before I
like,
think about it.
crap, why didn't I say
Yeah.
Princess Tomato and the Salad Kingdom or whatever that game was called?
When did that
So
come
bad.
out on? That
Regular-
sounds awesome.
Regular Nintendo. I'm gonna
Regular
look it up
Nintendo?
now. Yeah, it was called Princess Tomato and something.
Oh, so you're being serious right
yeah,
now.
like there was a real game called Princess Tomato.
I
Like, I don't
just
really
making it
like
up off the
it.
top of your
I did
head. What
too.
the hell?
No, it's an actual game.
That's ridiculous, but
Okay.
awesome.
You guys go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to look it up real quick.
Okay, so today's episode, we're just going to talk about kind of old school games that we all grew up on, that we really love. They kind of shaped what we enjoy in video games and whatnot. Some of which will probably be like crowd favorites where it makes sense. Others are probably just like super exact to that person. So who wants to go first?
I'll go
list.
first.
Yeah,
and
you got a
I've-
big list.
yeah,
Alright.
and I did find it already. It's called Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom.
In the Salad Kingdom.
And it
Oh
is
my
a
gosh, I
regular
do
Nintendo
remember that game.
Yeah,
Kirk
like it
Johns.
was kind of like an RPG.
Yeah.
Like you walk around and it's very
Okay.
RPG-ish.
Okay.
But-
Accepted.
Okay. I'm going to start with regular Nintendo. I believe I only have a couple regular Nintendo games on here, but Bionic Commando, one of my favorite games of all time.
Nice.
I played the crap out of it when I was a kid. I don't even think I've beaten the first world, if it's even in Worlds, because I sucked at it, but I loved it. Have you guys ever played it?
No.
No.
Basically, you're this guy, and you've got like
Robot
a
arm.
grappling hook that shoots out at he's got like an arm thing, and the grappling hook shoots out, and you can swing from ledge to ledge,
Oh, I think I know what you're talking
and you
about.
can like climb up it, and
He was a platformer.
yeah, it was very fun as a child. Fond memories of playing Bionic Commando.
It was really.
They redid it. Yeah, they released it on 360.
Yeah,
I
like a
think
couple
They had
years
it, or
ago.
maybe PS3
Yeah.
had a new version. I never played it, but I was pretty pumped about it when I heard that they were making a new one. The next regular Nintendo game I have on here is Mega Man. There's
The original Mega Man.
I put the whole series on here because actually Mega Man 2 is my favorite of the Mega Man games.
These games are so hard.
How can you
But
pick just one?
But Mega Man
There's like
2,
30.
the end was so hard. That's why I liked it so much. I probably lost like 200 lives trying to beat the end. Like, because you guys have played Mega Man, right? Like,
Yeah,
you're on the
yeah.
block, and then you have to jump at just the right time because the block you're on disappears, and then another one appears, but until you basically have the level memorized, you're not sure where it's going to appear.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to jump at the right time and hope that you're close enough or going in the right
Hope that you land on
direction to get to
something.
the next block. And then you got to fight like this giant dragon. I mean, that was... Mega Man 2 was the pinnacle of the Mega Man game.
Everything else has been crap since
It's
then.
downhill since Mega Man 2.
You're gonna hate my list then.
But I loved it.
Have
I
you
mean,
seen-
I do like all the other Mega Man games.
Have you seen the video that the guy compares Mega Man to Mega Man X? Isn't that right? Talking about how
Yeah.
Mega Man games are like the best games ever made because they teach you how to play it by you playing it. Like, whereas now, he argues that whereas now you get a game, they give you, like, the first two levels where they teach you this button does that, like, they
Right,
just
right.
tell you.
Yeah.
Whereas on Mega Man X, you just do it, and you learn all the mechanics in, like, the first 5 minutes.
Right.
What else you got?
I'm going to move on to Super Nintendo now.
Okay, so we're
I
getting
I
a
know
little
one
older.
of yours already.
Yeah,
Mario RPG is my first Super Nintendo game.
All right.
it's a fantastic game.
One of the best games ever made, in my opinion.
I would totally agree with
I was
that.
never
Yes.
an RPG fan until Mario RPG. That was the first RPG game that I actually played and enjoyed. and I enjoyed it a lot. Super Metroid, possibly my favorite game of all time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a
Love
fantastic
It is a
game.
fun
Super
game.
Metroid.
It was a fun game.
Yes.
Now, was it that one, or was it original Metroid that you found out that Samus is actually a girl
Well, it was the original.
at the end?
Yeah, like once you beat it, you got to play it again without the suit on.
Oh, okay.
And in Super Metroid, every time you died, like there was a brief picture, like
Yeah,
her suit came off, and she's like, ah,
Yeah.
in her little bikini. And if you beat and Super Metroid was all about time. Like if you beat the game, and I don't remember the times, I'm just going to throw out arbitrary times. But like let's say you beat the game in 4 hours,
Yeah.
like Samus takes her helmet off. You beat the game
cool.
in less than 3 hours, like half her suit comes off or something.
Yeah.
You
wanna go
beat it in
fast.
under 2 hours, like it was just her in a bikini, basically.
That's
You
how my
know,
dates
I mean,
go.
it was yeah.
So to serve your terrible
It's as
human
close as it
nature
got to
needs.
porno back in the
Yeah,
day.
Yeah.
pretty
Back,
much.
back in Super Nintendo
I'm like, I
days.
have 2 minutes to do this.
That was before the Lara
Exactly.
Croft Tomb Raider mod.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
much before. A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
No,
they're making a
Ah,
sequel
that
to
game
that.
is good.
I am at the age where A Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game.
Really?
Like people, I was just barely too old, I think, to really play the N64
The
Ocarina of
Zelda
Time.
games.
Yeah, everyone was about that.
And everyone's like, "Oh, Ocarina of Time, the best Zelda game ever." But
Link
I'm
to the
like, I
Past
love
was
Link to the
good.
Past.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's my favorite.
Did you know they're making a sequel to that?
I didn't know that. Is it going to be on?
It's on
Wii U?
3DS.
Oh, 3DS.
So you can
Sweet.
play it.
I'm going to.
I'm gonna get it as well.
ActRaiser, I feel, is a very underappreciated game.
I like
It's-
half of ActRaiser.
It took all the fun of SimCity, and then you also got a little bit of action in there too. You got a side scroller, and you got to build your city up. I
Yeah.
loved it.
I love the city building. I've always been really against those combat platformers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Most of them just don't work for me.
Well, on my list, ActRaiser barely edged out SimCity because I love SimCity.
Right.
But ActRaiser had that extra level there that satisfied my 10-year-old boy needs. I could go around and kill things with a sword.
Was this before or after you time limit, like you beat Super Metroid on your time limit to see her in a bikini?
That was a little bit older once I hit puberty.
Okay.
And I'm like, gotta beat it in 2 hours so I can have 8 seconds of Samus in a bikini. I'm gonna tape it on VHS and I'm gonna pause it and
Rewind.
get the tracking out so that I can actually get the lines out of the way.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna have my way with Samus Aran tonight.
And I still don't get that. She went to Bird People to get a bounty hunter suit. Why?
Right.
Why? How do bird people have such good technology?
Okay.
There's a lot about birds you don't know.
Clearly.
These are future birds.
Future birds.
They're
That makes
a
sense in
whole
distinction.
different race of
They're
birds.
future birds.
N64. I don't know why I'm dividing these by console.
Because we're imagining you grow up right
Yeah,
now.
Okay.
we're taking your life
So,
journey.
so should I go N64 then PlayStation 1, or is
Yeah.
it PlayStation 1 then N64?
No, N64 did N64 came out? It came out
I think they were close.
about the same time. About the
Yeah.
same time.
I've done a little drinking
I'll go.
since then.
I've already said N64, so
Yeah.
I'll go with
Just run with
N64.
it.
Slept a lot.
Mario 64, of course. You know,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
first open 3D world where you could just go around and do basically whatever you wanted to.
That was
Man,
really
I
fun.
remember how amazing that was.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Experiencing that the first time.
When I was
Yeah.
a kid, like Sunset Video was the name of the video store, the only video store in town that you could go and rent a Nintendo 64. And me and my friend Mark, the week they got it, we rented it, and we rented Mario 64, and we stayed up the entire night until we beat Mario 64.
That was a big deal back then.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. My next I've got so many like launch titles, 64 launch titles, because that
That's
was when I was
fine.
really into video games. Star Fox 64 was one of
Yes.
mine, not exactly a launch title, but had the Rumble Pack.
Did you know that the infamous line "do a barrel roll"
Mhm.
was actually just poorly translated from Japanese? And that's
I think
why,
a lot of the stuff we
Yeah.
say today is
Yeah.
just badly translated Japanese.
Yeah.
Right.
like it was supposed to be something else, but it was just the way it translated was just "do a barrel roll."
Do a barrel roll! I love that
All your
game.
base
I love the
belong to
original
us.
Star Fox also. I played the crap out of it, but Star Fox 64 when it was actually not just
Yeah.
and it was actually
There was
words.
some Peanuts characters.
Exactly. I loved it. And then again, launch titles. I've got Wave Race and Pilot Wings on here. We don't need to spend a lot of time on them.
Race.
But I don't know that I ever really raced that much on Wave Race. I would just always go and do the stunts, and just
Yeah.
play around, try to get that double flip,
That'd be awesome.
I wasted so many hours trying to do the double backflip. So, and Pilot Wings was just fun. I mean, it was silly.
Yeah.
And I liked the bouncy shoes and the and the parachute. I mean, it was a good time.
Definitely nothing wrong with that.
PlayStation 1, I have Metal Gear Solid.
Boom.
The original?
Yes, Metal Gear
Okay,
Solid 1.
alright, good.
That game frustrated me so bad as a kid because,
I can imagine.
the first time I played through it, I'm playing the game, you get like an hour or two in, and then all of a sudden the chief's like, okay, you need to call Meryl. You need to get her frequency off the back of the box. And I'm like, so I'm running around, like checking all the boxes, checking lockers and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So I keep calling him, and he's like, you need to get a hold of Meryl. Check the back of the box, Snake. And I'm like, what in the hell? That is the first game that I remember playing that just poked fun at the fact that it was a video game. Because then I look at the back of the CD case, and there it is, Meryl's Frequency, right there on the back of the CD case. And I'm like, what in the hell? And then later on in the game, it's like, try plugging your controller into port 2, Snake. And I'm like, what? It's like,
Yeah.
hurry, Snake, press A as fast as you can. I'm like, this is ridiculous, and I love every second of it.
I love every second of it.
And
Oh,
a game that everyone has played from the demo, but nobody except for me ever owned is Intelligent Cube.
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
ever play it?
I remember that.
The PlayStation 1 came with a demo disc,
Yeah.
and it had a demo for Intelligent Cube on it. And it was what it was you're this guy, and you're just standing here, and these blocks are tumbling at you, and you have to, like, lay bombs and destroy the blocks before they get to you. And there's, like, black blocks, which if you destroy, you lose a line. At the end, you have so many lines
Yeah.
between you and the end of the world, and you have to try to kill all these blocks before it gets to the end of the world, or else you lose. You fall off of
That
the
just
world.
sounds stressful.
Yeah. it
Yeah,
is.
and then at the
That's
end,
a
it gives
lot
you, like,
for
an
you to
IQ
do.
score. And
Oh, okay.
it's fun.
You would love that game then, Alan.
I might.
There's actually an Android game that's very similar
Oh, really?
to it,
Okay.
but it was my all-time favorite PlayStation 1 game because you really had to plan your moves out to try to get there was like
Yeah.
optimal number of moves, and if you got that, you got like 10,000 bonus points or whatever. But there were ways that you could kind of cheat the system and you could beat it in under the amount of under the number of optimal moves, and then you got like a double bonus or something,
Maybe that's what
So
smart
I was
people
always
do.
trying to do it
For your
under
IQ.
the number of turns.
I like your list because it's not just like I feel like if you would ask a kid now, like today, we go and ask like an 8 or 9-year-old kid like what their favorite video game would be, it'd be like nothing but shooters.
Mhm.
And you've got like platformers and RPGs and like space simulator ish,
Yeah.
like and puzzle games. Like that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very broad list.
Yeah.
So that's my list.
So Steven, what games do you have on your list
I've got from Nintendo Super Mario Brothers 3.
from Nintendo?
I loved it.
You're our spokesperson from them.
That's right.
Every
for
time I word a
Nintendo.
set, we have to pay them $1.
Yeah.
And then I loved the Duck Hunt games.
The
Yes.
games.
Yeah.
There was
They had
there
another one.
there
It was
were-
Logan's Alley that they had.
yeah,
And it was
Oh,
they
okay.
had like bricks that you could shoot. And they also had bad guys.
yeah.
You'd actually
I
go
loved
through
the
town.
Zapper.
Yeah.
I love getting to that
There
age
was-
for Duck Hunt that the skeet shooting became
Yeah.
more fun
Yeah.
than shooting the ducks.
Yeah.
Skeet
Well-
shooting was awesome.
It was.
It was.
There was like Gunsmoke or something too, right? Where
Yeah.
you could use a Zapper.
Yeah.
And there was Adventures of Bayou Billy, I think was the name of it.
Really?
Where it was like half of it you played with a controller and you could play with the Zapper too. You could
That's
play
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And
I
it
like
was
that.
it was real
I
fun.
like
Like you
that.
go around and shoot gators and stuff. It was kind of fun.
I would love to play a video game in which you kill alligators with a pistol.
Yeah, that's
That would be
Bayou Billy. There you
that'd be
go.
fun.
But I'll go into my N64 list because that one's a little bit bigger. I've got GoldenEye which
Nice.
is a staple of my childhood.
Nice.
And they actually released it for Wii too.
They did.
With Daniel Craig inserted into
Nice.
it.
Yeah.
It was
funny.
alright. It was
Did you
okay.
play Slappers Only?
Yeah.
We used to.
Just where everybody's on a knee, just sliding around. the one guy with the golden gun
Yep.
is doing that the whole game. That's always good.
I loved. We used to always do the proximity mines and rocket
Yeah.
launchers.
Yes.
Those were the two that we always chose
Yeah.
whenever we'd play.
That game was amazing.
Going the complex map, getting proximity mines, and just staying in that
Just
one room.
Boom.
Yep.
And
You're
you
like,
just
they
set
go
them
every
up in the
single
same
door.
place. Yeah, you're like, I'm going to set these on every doorway. And then
You guys have fun. I'm just gonna sit there for 20
There's
minutes.
one-
I know it's like
Like
really
you-
boring, but you
Yeah.
kick butt.
Yeah,
I
you
love it.
did.
Oh man, what else you got, Steven?
I've got Pokemon Snap, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. My parents got it for my sister, but I
Like,
took some excellent pictures. I
On
loved it.
paper, would you enjoy, like, if someone was like, "Hey, I'm wanting to make a Pokemon game in which you are on a car that's
You
on the
just take
same
pictures.
track, and you just take pictures of Pokemon.
You don't catch them like you have been.
You don't catch them. You don't fight them.
Yeah.
They're in their natural habitat.
That's right.
The exact same thing happens every time you go
Yes.
through.
Exactly.
The only
Yeah.
difference would be sometimes you can throw apples at them
You
and
can
they'll
taunt
do
them
stuff.
a little bit.
Yeah,
but that's all you can do.
yeah.
That's all you can do.
Like I would have, if someone told me that game,
I'd
I'd be
be
like,
like,
that
no.
would have been terrible.
Yeah, there's
but
no
it
way I'm
was
gonna
so
play that.
much fun.
It was.
I don't know where he kept all those apples.
What did you have? You had apples.
You had apples,
flute.
and then you had like stink balls.
Stink
that you
balls,
could
yeah.
throw at them.
I know you had to use the flute to wake up Snorlax to get a
Snorlax.
good picture.
Right.
I remember that game being so rough because it was one like you wanted to get the best shot, so like you wanted their face and their full
Right,
body, and
right.
not like them at a side, or
Yeah.
if they're doing a move or something, it was worth
Yeah.
more.
Whatever they're, extending wings or blowing
Yeah.
fire or something, you're like,
Yeah.
I gotta have that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That was
a
your
good
first exploring National Geographic.
one. Yeah,
right
pretty
there.
much. That was the
Yeah.
Nat Geo experience for Pokemon. I've also got the Mario Party games I like too.
Yes,
I love those,
Okay, I like those until they got onto the Wii. When
Yeah.
before it used to be like the party games were all about skill for the most part. It was
Right.
like platforming or a puzzle,
Right.
or the occasional button mashing. But then like when the Wii came out, it's like, all right, take your Wiimote and shake up that soda.
Yeah, that
It's
does
hot-
nothing for me.
Yeah, like
you
that's
know.
not fun to
The
me.
best part was just the different puzzle games.
Yeah.
The mini games was the best part.
Yeah.
Plus, you could get more stars than your friends. So
I remember whenever they were coming out with the Wii U, they showed like this tech demo of like a Mario Party-esque minigame where the person with the gamepad is kind of like the god. He controls where like things fall and stuff like
Really?
that, and everyone else has to do this maze type of thing. It looked pretty interesting.
that's kind of cool.
All I know is that Mario Party is single-handedly responsible for destroying so many controllers.
Yes, yes. I had friends that would literally either throw controllers against the wall and break them, or bite them until they would snap in half.
That's extreme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So do you have any other video
Yeah,
games?
yeah.
that
I've
come
got
out?
along with the Mario Party, Super Smash Brothers. I hated
Fantastic game.
Love
it. That's one
that
that's
game.
ruined friendships for me.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's always the one kid who had it and was just dominated no matter who he played.
That's Buzz for our friends. He's just entirely too
Andrew.
good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew's really good
I had
too.
the one he would do Samus every time, and he just dominated, and I hated him for it. But that's a good
It's so
one
much
too.
fun. I really liked those games.
Yeah.
Mr. Allen, what do you have now?
I don't actually have very many games that I love on the NES because a lot of NES games just pissed me off.
Because they're just ridiculously difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
back in the
Contra?
day of Nintendo Hard. Contra especially. Contra
Yeah.
was
Contra
very
was
difficult.
so fun. And here's what pisses me off about regular Nintendo games. When I was a kid, I could fucking destroy Contra. Like, I could beat, I'd do the Konami code, get the 30 lives or whatever.
Yeah.
I could beat the entire game with those 30 lives. I would have lives left over. Now, I can barely beat the first level with those 30 lives.
Exactly.
That's Contra for
Like,
you.
I just don't even understand how, I've gotten significantly worse at shitty video games,
Shitty video games.
I'm not saying the Contra's shitty, but, compared to, the video games of today, it's relatively simple. And I have
No, but
such
that's the whole
difficulty.
point of old school video games was like the gameplay was very simple, so it wasn't so much the gameplay and mechanics were so simple that it was just about mastering those to win the game. Whereas now, like Call of Duty, it's like it's the same thing over and over again.
Right,
like you play
right.
the single player, it's the shooting gallery of hold up gun, enemy will come in front of it, you shoot, and it's the same skill over and over and over. You never have to master it. You just have to be decent at it.
Right.
But what else do you have? What games don't piss you off, Alan?
Sorry to hijack your regular Nintendo talk.
No, this is all good. I love it. Super Nintendo Chrono Trigger, which is a game about time travel.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good RPG.
And it got so weird, too. Like, at the end, like, it was...
I mean, like
Just
all
out
Japanese
there.
RPG games where
Yeah,
it starts
was
off
kinda-
like simple, ordinary village, and then ends with mega dragon from other dimension wants to blow up moon.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Parasite living inside the Earth wants to exterminate all life.
Yeah.
Well,
And lonely boy from the village.
Okay,
who
I
didn't
guess
know his
that's believable.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh well, that's serious. We should address this.
right. It's been lying dormant for 65 million years.
Well, it's got to be cranky. You just beat Final Fantasy II
Right. Final Fantasy 2 US, which is 4
in Japan.
actually. Yeah. Never beat it when I was a child. Would get to the moon, and then I never owned the game.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I only rented it.
Yeah.
It would take me that long to get there, and then it would go back to the store, and I
Never
would just
see it
never
again.
finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Tales
did
old
actually
as
beat
time.
it the other day. A puzzle game that not a lot of people have tried is Tetris Attack.
What is different?
The characters in that game are Yoshi and his friends,
Oh, okay.
and it differs from actual Tetris in that the blocks come up from the bottom,
Oh, wow.
and they're all different colors, and you can switch to adjacent panels, and you gotta line them up, and then those will disappear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That sounds intense.
It's really strange, but it's really awesome. It's one of my favorite games.
I like whenever Tetris kind of got super competitive. Like, you know, like the original Tetris was just like blocks are falling, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
once it was like really,
Really
competing,
fast.
you know, and it's like, okay, if you get a Tetris, the other person gets, you know, so many random blocks just drop or whatever
Yeah.
it wants, or another line comes up from the floor or whatever,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, that to me is like when Tetris got really fun.
It is fun. Moving on to Nintendo 64, I'm going to disagree with Lawrence and go with Mega Man 64.
That game was fun.
Mega Man
The
64
game was
was
awesome.
fun.
That was so much fun. That was a game that I played but never beat. But then, like, I think it was at Walmart or something sometime, and they had it there at the last boss, and he had all of his gear, and I played, like, an hour or two of it, so I didn't even have the stinking helmet that you get. Like, he had everything, like these giant gun attachments, and could, like, dash from side to side, and I'm like, I need to play this game
And
again.
then you're like, this is actually awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the first N64 games to be voice acted, I think.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did a
John
okay job with that. It was dubbed
Yeah.
also, so the voices didn't really match up with what
But
their
as a
mouths
kid,
were
we don't
doing.
care about that stuff.
Well, I did.
It bugged
Alan
you.
did.
That's always bugged me. I never found
to
it.
this
to this
day.
day.
I never found it funny. I just found it annoying. I guess I missed the point.
You missed that memo.
Majora's Mask, which is
Yeah.
not the one that most people would credit with being the best
That was a good one.
on the
though.
N64. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
It was really fun.
One of the primary reasons I liked it was just because at the end, you had everything. The mess around factor was
Yeah.
huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The world was built like a big racing ring, so you just get
Yeah.
infinite magic and
Yeah.
go roll as a Goron for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just screw around.
I could see you doing that too.
I totally did.
Like, I have 20 minutes free time. Let's just go
That's saying.
roll around the world.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh man, I forgot.
I never
about
played that game.
It was amazing. You played a bear with a bird in his backpack.
That's teamwork at its best, you know.
A
You
really
could-
strong bird, because couldn't he, like, fly a little bit?
Yeah, you could hover, like double jump, kind of.
Yeah.
Double
And
jump.
you could turn around and the bird would come out and walk for you, and the bird was a lot faster.
Yeah.
Kazooie.
Oh, okay.
It could shoot eggs.
Out of its butt?
You know where eggs come
And
Okay. okay.
and mouth.
And
apparently.
mouth? So he's Yoshi.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it probably had one of the best soundtracks.
That's a very underrated thing, I think.
Music and games.
Music and
It
games.
had a really
yeah.
good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Killer Instinct was one of the first games that I think of whenever I think of
A
like
fighter?
game soundtracks. Yeah, because when you bought Killer Instinct, it came with the soundtrack.
Oh wow,
Oh,
that's
okay.
awesome.
It did. That's
yeah,
the
Killer
game.
Cuts was the name of the soundtrack.
That's
Killer
the
Cuts.
that's the
Yeah.
game that came with my Super Nintendo, the one that I bought it with.
Nice.
And Mario 64, depending on where you bought it, somehow you could get the Mario 64 soundtrack with it, or it might have been a mail-in thing or something. But
Okay.
I do remember having the Mario 64 soundtrack, and it was kind of like half the tracks were just random Mario noises, and half of them were like level music, you know? Yeah.
I remember having the soundtrack to
amazing.
Majora's Mask, and it being awesome.
My next game is Hybrid Heaven,
Hybrid Heaven.
which
think I've
is
ever played it.
it's a tourney fighter with a twist.
Mm-hmm.
You're pitted against a single opponent.
Yeah.
There's a story mode. You walk
Yeah.
through the place, but you meet single enemies. You can move your character around the arena, but whenever you decide to attack, it pauses the game and you decide like what limb and how you attack with it, or you can grapple.
I think I remember hearing about, like, maybe you told me about this.
Yeah, I probably have.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting game. It's kind of slow paced,
Yeah.
so I think that's probably why
What
A lot of
console was it
people-
for?
N64.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember it at all.
Yeah. It didn't get much play.
What else you got, good sir?
Expanding on the Mario RPG
Oh.
train of thought, Paper Mario
Yes,
is
I've got that
another
on
one of
mine
my
as
favorite
well.
I
games.
forgot about Paper Mario.
That is
Yeah.
a fantastic game.
It was
Oh my
very
gosh.
self-aware. It was hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess I have to add this in here because I bought the Donkey Kong 64 Jungle Green
Yeah.
Nintendo
Nintendo
right.
64.
With the green controller
Yeah.
and the see-through plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What-
Donkey Kong 64
And it came with
has to
the
go on
memory
my list.
expansion, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
The
it
one
came
with
with
the
it.
memory expansion. Yeah.
Yeah. They've done a lot of good things, I think, with like the Donkey Kong games. Like, was it 64 that you could change between, or what?
Yeah,
Donkey
you
Kong-
had
Yeah.
5 different characters that you could,
you Diddy,
switch between.
this orangutan
Dixie,
guy.
wasn't there?
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 new ones. Dixie is
That was
Uh,
Country, Donkey Kong
Donkey Kong
Country.
2 was
Two.
Dixie.
It was
wasn't it?
Dixie and
It was
Diddy.
Diddy and Dixie, right.
Yeah.
right, but there was a girl in Donkey Kong 64. I can't remember if
Yeah.
she
It
had the
wasn't
same
Dixie.
name.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
You bought things from her.
And Chunky Kong.
Chunky?
Was that his name? Chunky?
There was
Oh,
a Funky,
Funky's out.
wasn't there? Funky was
There
like
is a.
the skid,
I think
the
he's one of the
surfer guy from
shopkeepers.
Donkey Kong Country 1, I'm pretty sure.
You could be Dixie. Tiny was Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Lanky was the orangutan.
Yeah.
Tiny Kong is a chimpanzee and younger sister of Dixie. And then Chunky Kong,
Nice.
older brother of Kitty Kong and cousin to Tiny. Kitty Kong.
Chunky was a beast. That game had a versus mode
It did.
that was amazing.
It did. I remember
You could throw orange grenades.
I remember the boss of that fight being the crocodile, but you fought him in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
And the ending would be different based on how many bananas you collected. And
Yeah.
I remember it being like Mario in that sense. Like, if you collected all the stars from Mario in 64, you could see Yoshi. Like, you could use this cannon that fires you up to the top of the
Yeah.
castle, and Yoshi's up there chilling.
And he gives you 100 lives.
So did you have any more?
I'm clear. I might think of some later. I'm sure we all.
Yeah, I've added about 5 since we started talking. So,
Okay. All right. So for mine, a lot of mine you guys kind of covered, which is awesome. Like Ocarina of Time, I love that. I've been replaying it on my 3DS, and it's so much fun. I want to finish it just because I want to play I think it's called like the Master Quest,
Master Quest.
where all the dungeons are significantly difficult. And I remember playing it on, I think it was the GameCube, and getting to the first Forest Temple. And, like, those games, I pride myself in being like, okay, as long as you don't overthink this, I can finish this dungeon pretty quickly. But, like, that Forest Temple was like, I have no idea where to go right now. I don't know what to do. This is so stinking hard. So I really want to play it again to see if I can actually complete all those puzzles.
I had that problem. I think everybody had that problem with the water temple.
Yeah, the Water Temple was rough. I still hated that. I replayed that not too long ago, and
It's
that one
very
was
confusing.
really hard. All the different levels of the water. No, thank you.
Yeah.
GoldenEye, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Spent many nights with friends
That's
doing
right.
like 4-player
That's
cross
right,
screen.
the squares.
Yeah, stop watching my screen, Alan.
Yeah.
It's the same screen.
Stop
How am
watching
I
my
supposed
screen.
to not watch it?
And that was back before like 55-inch and 60-inch
Yeah,
TV. So
well,
it's like a
we had a
30-inch
4-player on a
exactly.
32-inch TV.
Yeah.
But it was amazing.
Or like each
We
person's
each
in
had
that
8
one little
inches
square.
That's right.
of screen.
I love it. I've got Pokemon on here because I loved Pokemon as a kid. I remember getting, I think I got blue and my cousin John got red. And we would play those, like, we'd come over and just play those for hours.
I remember the first time I got blue.
Ba-da-bum.
I like it. I like it. I like it. And I won't lie, I'm excited about Pokemon X and Y. Like, what I've seen as far as, like, the cutscenes and stuff and how battles work, it looks fun to watch.
I can't get excited about it anymore.
It looks interesting. And I like to play a game that I would like to go to a game that's new, that is exactly the same game that I played as a kid and see if I still enjoy it, you know?
I can see that.
Yeah, because, like, so many people are trying to take older games and rebooting them. Tomb Raider, for example, like, the way they changed that up was significantly different from what she was before, and it didn't do as well. So I'd like to see if I could do that with Pokemon, because I loved that as a kid. Like, one of my favorite games. We talked about Mario Party. We talked about Paper Mario. Another game that I loved playing, I think, it is an RPG that I think I've beaten like 4 or 5 times, and it's Legend of the Dragoon, which that game is fantastic. It's all about, it's kind of like Dragon Ball Z in the sense of like you can like it's a fighter game, but you transform. So like each person has their own style of fighting and weapon, and then they also have access to like this dragoon spirit that pretty much gives you armor and flying wings. And it was really fun. I enjoyed that game. That was also the first game that when I beat it, the boss had an ability that could completely like kill you in one shot. And it never did that to me. And so I was over at my cousin's house watching him play it. And he's like, I can't beat this last boss. He's so hard. I'm like, yeah, he was really easy. I beat him like no other. It wasn't no contest. And I watched him play, and he did that move, and he never did it to me. And I was like, yeah, he never did that to
That's
me.
weird.
Like, he never did that.
Huh.
And, like, he flipped out. My cousin was just like, are you kidding me? He beats me every time because of this move. But I highly recommend anyone that if you have a PlayStation 2, find a copy of Legend of Dragoon and play it. It is a fantastic RPG. And then I have on here, kind of like your fighter games, I loved playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 growing up. Being able to have three characters and you can just switch them out at any time and fight.
Yeah.
And I remember being little and like cheating to where you could have regular Wolverine and then Bone Claw Wolverine with like exactly the same moves and everything, but you can have them on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
I remember doing that. And I bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and it's just as fun. I will forever just play that game whenever I have like friends over for a party, like put that in and like anyone just come up and mash these games.
Right.
It's still fun. But I like video games. They're fun.
They are fun.
I think my taste in video games now is significantly different than when it was as a kid, but I think it's just because I thought video games have changed
Yeah.
so
They've
much.
The
changed
video game landscape
drastically.
is just
Yeah,
completely different. I mean, it's
it
I've got a
is.
few more that I want to talk
Yeah.
about, if that's okay.
Yeah,
it's hard.
My first one, originally a PC game, later ported to Super Nintendo, but Lemmings. Did you guys ever play Lemmings?
Hell yes.
I loved Lemmings. Like, that game was so much fun as a kid. Like, trying to get them not to fall off into the water or something, you know? Like, you gotta put your blocker here to keep them
See,
out.
I always
you gotta,
thought that was the goal, was to drown them all.
You played-
so that's
did you
why you
always
only
win?
beat 2
I
levels.
always won. Game over is winning. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm
game-
reading,
Well,
making
the game is
picture.
over. I won.
Yeah, so you won.
We trained Alan wrong. That's a joke.
I'm the king, baby.
But yes, Lemmings, hours and hours of enjoyment. The next one, and I don't know if you guys have ever played it, but it is one of my all-time favorite games, and it's incredibly simple. Uniracers. You guys ever played
What?
it?
Uniracers?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm old.
I'm old.
What do you do in Uniracers?
Uniracers, you're a unicycle.
Okay.
And you just go around, and you have to do, like, I don't know, sometimes you're racing, sometimes you're doing tricks and stuff, and you have to, like, either, beat the computer in a race, or you have to score more points than they did, or you have to get, like, so many checkpoints or something. But seriously, for as simple a game as it is one of the funnest games on Super Nintendo.
Okay. I won't argue that.
Very fun.
Cool.
It sounds awesome.
It is awesome. Super Punch-Out!
Yeah.
Loved regular Punch-Out for Nintendo, but Super Punch-Out was just a whole new level of fun. Like, it was so much better than the original Punch-Out, in my opinion. Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time.
Yes.
For the rest of my life,
Yes.
I'll remember Big Apple, 3 a.m. Just one of my favorite games.
I got that on Xbox Live Arcade.
Nice. It's so fun.
It's really fun. There's an achievement on there. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and you let me know if you think this is possible. Playing the entire game without dying.
That would be very tough.
Yes.
I think I had to use my Game Genie and use Infinite Lives just to
Yeah.
beat that game because it was kind of tough at times.
Those games taught me the importance of putting others' needs before your own. It's like, there's only one pizza, and there's 3 of us with, like, 3 bars left.
Right.
All right, well, you get it because
Yeah.
you're going to do
You're
more damage.
Donatello or something, you got a longer reach.
Yeah.
I put Mortal Kombat on my list just because we hadn't talked about it, and it was such a big game, when I was younger. Not necessarily Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 2, I think, was probably my favorite of all of them.
Was that
Mortal
the
Kombat 3 was pretty cool, too, because
like
then Sub-Zero could do, like, the ice sculptures or
That's
whatever,
right.
and
Yeah.
then they could run into them.
I can't remember what it was called, or what game it was, where you could turn the blood on and off.
Yeah, that
Which
was...
Turok.
No, well, Turok you
Oh,
could.
that's right.
There was a Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat game that you could
Mortal
do that as
Kombat
well.
1.
I think
On-
3
on-
was right?
They didn't have blood on the Super Nintendo version, but the
Oh,
Sega
okay.
Genesis version,
Yeah.
when it was starting up, if you press A, B, A, C, A, B, B,
Yeah.
it would give you some kind of tone, and then it would turn the blood on, and you could play it that way. There was a Game Genie code where you could enable blood on the Super Nintendo version, but basically all it did was it turned the sweat red.
Yeah.
It was
Was it Mortal Kombat 2 that gave the guy that said, whoopsie,
yeah,
that bumped in? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how you got to fight Smoke. I think was you had to do. Oh, let's see, maybe it was Reptile. You had to get that guy
Yeah.
in the pit area, and then when you finished him, I think you had to uppercut him into the pit, and that's how you fought Reptile or something like that.
I don't know. There's not enough games that, like, you have to do silly, stupid things to make something rare happen.
Right.
Super Smash Brothers kind of did that. Like, beat time trials and target things to unlock characters.
Yeah, but then in the new one, you can
Just
unlock
play.
everybody by just playing enough matches.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do anything crazy.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever played Quest 64?
Yeah.
I love that game.
That was a fun game.
They tried to do a lot of really different things.
That was a
with
game that I always wanted to play, but Movie Gallery or Circus Video never had it. It was always checked out.
It's probably at my house. Because I loved the shit out of that game. You didn't have levels and you didn't have equipment. You had a very advanced magic system, and
Yeah.
like every action that you took in battle affected your stats. So like if you got hit, your defense went up,
Hmm.
or if you used magic, your magic points went up. And you could mix all of your elements, like water and fire, make hot steam.
There's a game out. It's fairly old now. I think it's just called Magic, but it's spelled different. I don't know. But it's all about your 4 individual mages,
Mhm.
and you have to combine spells to solve puzzles and fight enemies in the world. Like combine water and ice to make, or water and fire and make like steam
Form
and stuff
of.
like that. Yeah,
Good glass.
like it's really really cool. I think you would like it.
Did you ever play any of the Crystal Chronicles games?
I played a couple of them. I played the one for, was it GameCube?
Yeah.
Where you had to get the tier refilled.
Yeah.
God, I stopped playing that game because it was the same thing over and over.
It is, but
And
it's
it-
really fun if you have 3 or 4 people.
I'm
because
sure.
You can mix up attacks and magic and stuff.
You know,
Yes.
a multiplayer game I love that's just the
Ridiculous.
same thing over and over again is Bomberman.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
not get enough of Bomberman
Yeah.
for a while there.
Yeah.
Just We would all, and Half-Life, like Half-Life
Oh,
multiplayer and Bomberman. Like that's what me and my friend Jeremy, we'd just play them for hours on end. And Mario
I don't know
Kart,
when-
that's one that we
when
hadn't
and
talked
if
about yet. That was
Half-Life.
a big one.
Mario Kart, yeah.
Yeah, that's another one that ruined friendships.
The Wii U one was really fun.
Wii U?
Where you actually got to drive it.
Yeah.
The Wii.
Oh,
There,
with
Wii,
the
yeah,
with
just the
the
remote.
yeah.
That was really good.
I used to play Mario Kart with my friend Randy, and he would, like, you're not allowed to use the power-ups. Like, if you got the mushroom, you could use the mushroom, but you weren't allowed to throw shells at each other and stuff. And I'm like, that's the point of the game, is to be able to throw stuff at each other. And he's like, I just like the racing part of it, you know, so...
Get my Discord.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
Cruising World
there are
is
tons
fun.
of racing games.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing was so
Yes.
awesome.
That was wonderful. That was the one that, like, you had to get so many, like, was it stars or bananas?
Gold balloons.
Gold balloons. Get so many gold balloons and go to the
It's
little
always
pond.
gold. Whatever you have to collect is made
Yeah.
of gold.
Gold.
Go to the pond and find the frog that had, like, the little thing underneath its mouth, and you run over it, and it turns into the big chicken guy who's supposed to be the best racer. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
I think we might be
No.
having some kind of
Because the big pig guy invades, right?
Yeah.
And the big racer to fight him off is the chicken guy, but they can't find him. And what you find out that the big guy cursed the rooster chicken guy, and you have to it's there.
So you may okay.
I believe you.
All
I
right.
just don't remember it.
I believe you.
I used to love Cruising USA and San Francisco Rush, those
Yeah.
types of games.
Rush 2 was another game that I spent a lot of time just messing around in because after you beat all the courses, you could unlock the stunt course. And it gave you just
That game was
all
fun just
kinds of
because
crazy
like
stuff.
crashing was kind of like a big thing in that game.
Yeah.
Drumstick.
Drumstick. I
Drumstick.
do remember the character. I know there's the boss battle where
Okay. Timber the tiger parents go on vacation and leave their son in charge of the island they live on, leaving him and his friends to race for fun. Their enjoyment is derailed when an evil intergalactic pig wizard named Wizpig arrives at the peaceful island. They eventually confront all of Wizpig's challenges and confront Wizpig himself to race and defeat him. Shortly afterwards, Drumstick is turned back into a rooster and Wizpig leaves for his home planet.
That's a good ending.
Alright, so that's a good example of the kind of games that we enjoyed playing as kids. Super fun things. Let us know in the comments what games you guys like to play. Send us questions, we'll answer them on shows and such. Guys, have a good one.
So long.
So long.